Alright, learning game audio is difficult. Whether you focus on sound design, technical audio, game music or audio implementation, there are countless hard and soft skills you need to get good at. You have to learn how to work with DAWs, improve your audio production skills, design sounds, create perspective and depth in sound design, edit, mix and master audio. If you want to venture in game music, you need to develop a strong understanding of music theory, composition, arrangement, orchestration, musical form, electronic music and recording. And if you are more interested in technical sound design and audio programming, you need to learn programming, middleware, audio engines, systems design, tool development, optimization and debugging. Within this avalanche of skills we can improve and add to our arsenals as game audio professionals, I feel like it's very easy to lose sight of one fundamental skill that sits above all the others: game design. It's understandable why this happens. When we spend so much time focusing on the details of our craft, we can sometimes lose sight of the bigger picture. But I believe developing that game designer's mindset as audio people is a game-changer behavior that can instantly put all the little and big things that we do into a crystal clear perspective. But in order to do that, we first need to understand how game designers think. So, what does a game designer actually do? According to Jesse Schell in The Art of Game Design, the goal of a game designer is to create experiences for the players. Mechanics, systems, levels, progression, and feedback are all simply tools used to shape that experience. As audio designers, we are contributing to that very same goal. Sound and music aren't separate from game design. They are part of how the player's experience is shaped. The better we understand our role in that experience, the better our decisions become. Every sound effect, every musical cue, and every implementation choice becomes less about making something that just sounds good and more about supporting the experience the game is trying to create. Let's look at few examples of essentially the same gameplay mechanic: parrying, but in different games. Can you hear how differently these games treat the sound of a successful parry? Notice how exaggerated and impactful the parry sound is in Dark Souls. It's much bigger than anything you'd expect in real life. In Sifu, it's still impactful, but much snappier, more physical, tactile, and more grounded in hand-to-hand combat. In The Witcher 3, it's much more restrained and subtle compared to the other two. Well, they're all parry sounds, right? It's the same mechanic. So why does the sound design approach differ so much from game to game? Because the game design and consequently the player experience these games are trying to create is completely different. In Dark Souls, combat is slow, methodical, and the stakes are incredibly high. One mistake, one late button press can completely change the outcome of a fight, so it should feel like it's a big deal. Landing a successful parry is a huge moment. It creates this perfect opportunity to land a big blow to your enemy in this high-stakes combat encounter. So naturally, the sound needs to feel huge as well. In Sifu, combat is designed to make you feel agile, competent, like a highly skilled martial artist. A successful parry is still important, but it's something you are expected to perform much more frequently. It should feel quick, precise, and tactile rather than overwhelming. In The Witcher 3, parrying plays a much more defensive role. It's there to help you control the flow of the combat rather than define it. Naturally, the sound is much more restrained because the mechanic itself carries a different weight within the overall combat design. So each of these parry sound effects isn't just telling the player that a parry simply happened, it's telling the player what that parry means within the context of that particular game's design. Let me give you another example, this time from music. Listen to the musical choices in these three games before their final battles takes place, and pay attention to what kind of gameplay experience they are trying to create.
Dead Red Out.
I must have dreamed 1,000 dreams. Been haunted by a million screams. I can hear them marching.
These are all great examples of a concept called Ma, or negative space. Ma is a Japanese aesthetic concept that refers to the meaningful space between things. It's not an empty space, but a moment that allows the things around it to have more meaning and context. Interestingly, this concept is not only relevant to music or visual arts. In this clip, Brandon Lee Mulligan and Matt Mercer talk about Ma in the context of being a good game master. How knowing when to leave space can make the important moments hit harder.
I love Ma. As the action has been building and building and building, and then we get here and then it suddenly stops. This is going to be the most violent climactic one. This is the final battle. If I don't let you watch the rain fall on this peaceful village, how will you know what violence is?
And the same principle applies to game audio. In storytelling, music and visual design, these moments of pause create contrast. They give the audience time to process what has happened, build anticipation for what is coming next, and emotionally prepare for an important moment. In these game music examples, the use of negative space creates a moment of calm before the final confrontation. If we analyze these pieces purely as composers, they might seem completely different from one another. And of course, the musical style of a game is heavily influenced by its art direction and aesthetic. But despite sounding completely different, the function they serve is the same, creating a moment of reflection for the player. A moment to remember what they are fighting for, and a moment to build anticipation for the final challenge that is about to unfold. And that is, at its core, a game design choice, with music being one of the tools used to create that experience. So, should every sound designer and composer now also needs to become a game designer? Not necessary. We don't need to design combat systems, create levels, or balance progression, but we do need to understand why those systems exist and what they try to achieve in the grand scheme of game design, because every sound we create exists inside those systems. The better we understand the player's experience, the better we can support it through audio, because great game audio is not just about making things sound good. It's about understanding what the game is trying to make the player feel and using sound as a tool to achieve that goal. Hope this video inspires you in some way, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you like more game audio and game dev content, consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.